Most men are taught to suppress their pain and not express it. I'm sure you know this from being a man in today's world. But what if you not hiding the pain isn't a weakness? It's actually the doorway to your strength. If you know how to face it healthy, correctly. In this video, I actually talk about just that, how men are holding in their pain and what they can do instead. This is actually a training that I gave for men live, and I would love for you to watch it, and maybe it'll give you some insight on what to do with your pain, whether that be physically, emotionally, mentally, and beyond. So enjoy the video, and if you like what you see and hear here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like the video, or pass it on to another man who could really benefit from the message. I'll see you in the next video. Enjoy.
Today, I'm covering and we're going to have a conversation about what happens when when a man like you has nowhere to go to put his pain. What do you do about that? I find some people, not just men, can be on automatic when it comes to when a man like you has nowhere when it comes to their pain and noticing that or realizing that. So, what I'm going to ask you right now is a question you can ask yourself, but you can also drop your comments below to engage in the conversation if you are open to sharing. So, where do you go when life hits hard? When you're facing adversity, when you're facing challenges and struggles come up in your life, where do you go? Not just physically, because I know some men out there go to the gym. They may be investing in some type of martial arts where they can bring their pain there and really transmute it, alchemize it, turn it into something healthy, turn it into something good, and really use it so that it can come up to be released. But not all men connect with going to the gym. Not all men connect with taking up a martial art. Some men maybe actually go hunting or do some type of hobby to help them connect to this pain or to what's coming up for them that doesn't feel good, that they're in resistance around. But what about not just physically? Where do you go when life hits hard emotionally, mentally, spiritually? Are you coming back to yourself? Are you coming to spirit, a higher power? When pain shows up, what do you do? I notice that most men don't have a safe space to bring their pain to, especially when it comes to feeling that pain emotionally, feeling that pain mentally, feeling that pain, maybe even a spiritual disconnect. I'm noticing that a lot of you out there are holding it in, are burying it, numbing it, maybe even, oh hell, ignoring it because it's easier. And one way to do that is you can invest in turning your pain into purpose. I heard a lot of men say that, a guy I used to date, that was like his tagline of how he turned his pain into purpose to serve other people around getting healthy in these different ways and dialing into their wellness. And that's great. But not every man is going to do that. Not every man wants to do that in that way. I notice that some of you out there even isolate yourself when things come up like this, when your pain starts to fester and come to the surface. Or maybe you repress it all along, and that can lead to depression. We all know that. And we know how serious that can be when you are experiencing depression and then get diagnosed with it. So where do you go when life hits hard? And maybe it starts to show up and you have no idea how to handle it. And like I said, so you ignore it, you hold it in, you bury it from the stories you're telling yourself. Maybe that was modeled to you. Real men don't express their feelings. Real men aren't vulnerable. That's a sign of weakness, and you will be teased and ridiculed and shunned, or maybe even a woman won't respect you if you show your true pain of what's coming up for you. But that actually couldn't be further from the truth. Fellas, what actually makes you more dynamic and more magnetic if you're in a relationship, especially with a feminine woman, is that she wants to witness that. She wants to see you express that because it lets her know that you feel safe enough to do that with her. And it doesn't have to be on a first date, obviously. I'm not telling you to go on a first, second, third date with somebody and spill everything about what happened to you as a little boy. That's oversharing, right? And that's doing it in an unhealthy way. But I'm talking about somebody you've dialed in a monogamous, committed relationship with. Women want to experience your presence and your masculinity, but we also want to see your truth, see your pain, see and be a witness for you to be vulnerable when you're ready. But a lot of men may not show their partners that at all. And instead, they shut down, they go into silence, they hide, they overwork themselves. That leads to burnout because they are so engulfed about not showing this, not facing the truth of what's coming up for them. And maybe it's not that. Maybe you actually don't have a safe space to go to release and dissolve and let go of this pain in a healthy way, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, like I said. So, again, where do you go when life hits hard? Do you release it? Now, if you saw my other talk about are you stuck in your victim story, some men may actually numb themselves because they don't want to feel it. And that can lead to drug addiction, sex addiction, addicted to look, scrolling and distracting yourself because you so desperately don't want to face the pain of what's coming up for you, whatever that is. So understand that this is serious. And years upon years of doing that, it could come up and lead to some physical type of pain or dis-ease. It can create a lot of cortisol being created in your body to the point where it's so stressful, where you get an ulcer or have a nervous breakdown. Anything could happen. But what if the pain actually isn't the problem? What if the problem is actually just you not allowing yourself to speak it, to let it be felt, to let it be witnessed, in a safe space that feels good enough for you to do that? Because I know a lot of men like you out there are used to holding space or being present for other people's issues and problems and solutions and leading, supporting, being in service to many people, whether that's in your career, in your business, in your friend group, in the world, with your family, with your wife or your partner, maybe even with the woman that you're dating. But where can you go? Where does it feel safe enough for you go to let your pain be experienced, let your pain be felt, and let your pain be witnessed? So, coming back to that original question of where do you go when life hits hard, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, not just physically? And one thing you can do to start to disrupt and shift out of this pattern of numbing yourself, of holding it in, of burying it, repressing it deep down inside, of even ignoring it, is to practice just being truthful with yourself and stating that truth out loud to yourself, first and foremost. That is actually the root of my work. right? I talk a lot about relationships and dating and what you can do for women and what women don't want and how you can be magnetic and attractive and empower yourself in your own masculinity. But the root of all my work is you empowering and having a healthy relationship with you in spirit if it calls for it and you believe in like a higher power or want a spiritual connection. It starts with you, and that's where all the root of my work is in, right? You may come to me with one problem, but when we really dig deep, it goes deeper than the surface problem that you're experiencing. And a lot of men might not realize that until they jump into doing the work with somebody else. Hi, Adam. Welcome. He says, love it, joy. The truth shall set you free. Amen. It always does. And that's why I always talk about my content around, especially men who are passive. You are not being truthful with yourself and with the people in your life when you are passive, when you are letting yourself be disrespected, when you are not speaking your truth, when you are not even truthful in a conversation because you want to avoid conflict or tension, when you are not truthful with the woman you're dating or in a relationship with, and you're deciding to be passive, but it creates resentment. It creates so much unnecessary angst within you because deep down you're not being truthful and you think that being passive is a way to protect yourself, and maybe it is a coping mechanism, something you learned from being a little boy. Maybe your caregiver, your mother, your father, or somebody was very critical of you or shut you down when you came up with creative ideas or you expressed you wanted to do something and they were like, no, it's not that type of party here. They didn't let you express yourself. Like so many things can be wrapped up into how it led you to like want to protect yourself and be passive. That's just one example of a man who takes on this mask and this persona because he's not truthful, first and foremost, with himself. And then it goes out into the external world. So, like Adam said, who joined the conversation, the truth shall set you free. And that's why I mentioned here when life gets hard and you decide to bury your pain or distract yourself through scrolling, through porn, through maybe even sleeping with several women because you just don't want to face what's coming up for you. It's you, it's an expression of you not being truthful, you not willing to face it, and you also wanting to be free, but you think this is bringing the freedom. But it's actually not the problem. The pain, like I said, may not even be the problem because you want to like fix it or ignore it or bury it. The pain and the pain point is actually you not allowing yourself to release it, to feel it so that it can come up and heal and be let go. And so going back to this pattern of, men doing this is you doing this is practice saying the truth out loud to yourself first or to God, to spirit, whatever. However that looks. Speak it out loud, do a voice memo to yourself in your phone, speak it in the mirror, write it out, type it out, whatever you have to do. And you can just start naming what's real, what's coming up for you in real time, even if no one else hears it. If you feel tired, say, I feel tired. Not in a victim story. That's just your reality right now in that moment. I feel tired. I feel burnt out. If you feel lonely, say it to yourself. Say it out loud. I feel lonely. And notice what's happening in your body. What's that bringing up for you when you say that, right? Is it shame, guilt? Is it some form of feeling defeated because you feel so lonely that you don't think you can create something new in your life to go into a community of other men who can support you, or finding that woman, that queen, that goddess that you so deeply want to walk into your life. Maybe you feel lonely at work. If you're a man out there who is doing the damn thing, leading, but burning himself out, working so much that you don't want to feel anything else, Maybe you feel pressure, financial pressure, pressure to be masculine, pressure to be this big thing in the world. And if you feel that, say, I feel pressure to always be strong, to always be masculine, to always be X, Y, and Z. So, this is how you can start to shift that pattern of burying it, of numbing yourself. When you speak the truth, you begin the process of releasing it. If you heard me in my last conversation here, I said that healing happens in the presence of an empathetic witness. But I added to that as well. I said release happens, healing and release happens for men in the presence of an empathetic witness. So maybe it's about you coming to a safe space where you feel safe enough to be witnessed in your flaws, to be witnessed in your pain, to be witnessed in your humanness. Hey, John, welcome to the conversation. John says, hey, Joy, caught alive. Just got done with mine. Namaste, first one I caught. Awesome. So happy to have you here. So honored. I love when men come into this conversation, right? Because it adds just a beautiful component of what I'm speaking, right? This community and my content and my page and my work would be nothing without the men who are showing up to do the work, who are showing up to dive into the conversation, because at least it shows other men who don't want to speak, who don't want to comment, that they're not alone. They can just read through the comments and be like, finally, I see other men here speaking about what she's talking about. So there's actually maybe some truth in it. So thank you, John and Adam, for showing up, for dropping your comments. And thank you for all the men out there who's going to watch the replay. That's why I love this work. It ripples out into the ethers and it can touch so many men in so many different ways. Even if there's some women in here on the conversation, you can share this with another man, or men that you know need to hear this. Gentlemen, share it on your page, share it with another man, because it's serious. There's an epidemic of men not being able to show themselves. They're hiding behind this mask so much because there's so much pressure externally and internally about when life gets hard, I have to keep it in. I have to bury it. I always have to show that I am strong, that I am masculine, that I can handle it, that I can be the provider, the leader, the protector, and I don't get to be human, right? That's having that savior hero complex. And that can be very dangerous as well, because then, especially in romantic relationship, you start showing up wanting to save women. It's like your own self-fulfilling prophecy, but it's actually very dangerous and a very unhealthy way to relate and be in relationship with women, because it's not your responsibility to save her. Yes, courting her, providing for her, showing up for her, but that's different than saving her, because saving somebody, you don't empower them at all, right? Empowering someone, even if it's your partner, the girl you're dating, is always about showing them how to fish, right? Instead of giving the fish to them. Sometimes we need those lessons and in different ways, and maybe showing her that you can come to her in this relationship and show her your flaws, and that you're not perfect, and that you're not this ridiculous superhero. Maybe taking that mask off will actually create so much more connection and intimacy in that relationship. And that goes across the board with your friends as well, maybe even your family, depending on who you feel safe enough to show that to. And so I just wanted to come here and drop this conversation here, because it's been something I've been observing, right, with men here. John said that was the old version of me. And it kept me down for a very long time. Got in touch with the feminine, empathetic side in this past year and a half. Right. And so, yes, like John said, there's a way for you to be in polarity and show that part of yourself without you feeling like, oh, it's gay, it's feminine. Real men don't show their inner, the inner parts of themselves. It's all bullshit at the end of the day. You know, women like you to be present and hold space for them, but there's a way to show what's coming up for you and express your truth without having you like go off or break completely down where you're like falling apart. I think that's where it gets crazy because you haven't expressed yourself. You haven't allowed yourself to do that. And one of the extreme ways is that you go off on somebody. You fight in public. You do ridiculous things. I know you've seen those type of men at bars or been out. They just couldn't hold it in because they have so much angst and so much stuff going on inside that it released right at the most inappropriate time. They blew up on somebody because one guy said something or was rude to them. And John says, empathy were the roots of my addictions in my life. So, yes, you not only get to have empathy for yourself, but maybe there is a sacred space where you can go to when life gets hard, where this pain is showing up, where you can have an empathetic witness your humanness, right? Witness your problems, your struggles, your challenges without wanting to fix you. That's the thing. I think some men are like afraid because they're like, this person might try to give me advice or fix me in some type of way. I'm broken, so then they might fix me. Maybe I need to fix myself. I'm not good enough. All these stories. And I know sometimes that could be like maybe you're in a relationship with a partner or you had a critical mom who like every time you did show her a little bit or you fell and scraped yourself and cried, she was like critical of you. That doesn't help. And so that can be a coping and protection mechanism of you not showing what you're experiencing when you're up against adversity and challenges and struggles because you're like, I may get stomped on and not witnessed at all. That may happen again because my mother did it. Or you're in a relationship and you're attracted to toxic women who do this all the time, right? It can go either way. The beautiful thing about life, it's never black and white. Just like romantic relationships, it's never black and white. We're complex beings. And I noticed that about men, women expect them to be one way all the time. And life and being a human in this 3D reality, it's not like that. It's not black and white. But maybe if you can come in the relationship being willing to show a part of yourself that you usually don't allow to be seen, she gets to be an empathetic witness for you. Or you can work with somebody outside of your relationship, outside of your community, or maybe you don't have a community to go to help you be in a space and to foster a space where you can have an empathetic witness. And like I said, release and healing happens in the presence of an empathetic witness. And men get to have that as well, because maybe deep down inside, you don't even think you deserve something like that. And so I ask you in closing out this talk, do you want to carry it all alone? Men aren't meant to carry it all alone. None of us are. We are actually beings that thrive in community, that thrive in sharing and having reciprocal relationship, not just with ourselves or spirit, but with other people. And to give you a little teaser about what I'm doing, I'm creating a space where you can lay it all down and be witnessed, not fixed, not judged, just witnessed, seen, heard, understood, without any of that other stuff that may come along with allowing your pain to come forth. It's not public yet. If you're on my email list, you know what I'm talking about, but it's coming next week starting Monday. And when you're ready to really feel and you're ready to release this pain, it'll be there for you and you'll know where to find it because I'm going to come out with it on Monday. And so the rest of this month, I'll be going live at a set time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every Thursday this month. but I'm also going to do a bonus live here this Monday, May 12th at 7 p.m. as well. So come find out what my invitation is to you, because I know there's a set of men in the collective that feel they have nowhere to go to really express and be truthful about what's coming up for them. And I'm here to show you that I'm a healthy feminine woman who's ready to do that for you, who's ready to be that witness for you. So I'll see you on Monday. Thank you, John and Adam, for coming along and dropping in on the conversation. And I'll see you on Monday. I love you all. Ciao.